going on, everyone? My name is Ajwritescrypto. Welcome to the show. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody going, man, what what a past couple of days in crypto, you know? And I mean, we talked about this on the last live stream on Monday, that anytime you see a type of alt pump that is an angle this sharp and it happens in a very short amount of time, there's no world where there's not a retest. There's no world where there's not a retest. And of course, we can always react to, local high versus local low. But do I think this is the end of the world? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. And why? Look at the macro. Look at everything that's still happening in the background. Of course, the paper hands are going to fold. A lot of the minority but vocal fear-based response crowd, is going to show up. You know what I mean? I don't think we're going to take a long look at the charts today, but really, Bitcoin didn't take a big shot. Ethereum didn't take a big shot. It's really like the alts from XRP down that started to take a little dip. And of course, we can go back and look at massive support resistance, previous retest and how long they take and everything like that. I still don't think it's going to be, the timeline is aligning. The stars are aligning for Q3, Q4. It's that simple. Trippy, any emails that haven't been responded to, we will get to you. I promise. There's just hundreds of them, and we work incrementally. Okay, there's a lot of stuff there. So sorry about that. We'll get to you, I promise. But yeah, man. So it's been, of course, in hindsight, of course, you know what I mean? But it's also, the question you should ask yourself is, should you have sold all your altcoins last night? No, you shouldn't have, because that's just going to get you in trouble. The truth is that, do you think the pump that we just had, that little baby pump we just had, do you think that was it? Do you think that was the local top? Was that it? Hell no. That was not the bull run top. This is just a little wake up, and we're going to have a little retest, and then we're going to continue on where the December highs are like the first target. So don't get, oh, I should have sold. Oh, I messed up. No, it's just a retest. It's just a retest. And this happens. This happened. Could you have reacted to some shorts and have an alarm set for that? Yeah, you could have. And if you're in the Telegram group, you did have alarms for that. But at the same time, just because things retest does not mean you should have sold your spot bag, period. Because you're not going to ever perfectly time the top. You're never perfectly going to time the bottom. And eventually, you're just going to get caught. You're going to get in trouble if you try to play the jump in, jump out all at once with your bag type moves. That's not pragmatic. And I don't like when people think in an all in, all out, because the truth is we're still up in a big way, in a very big way. So let's get into this. Got a lot to talk about today. Make sure, guys, if you're watching, smash the likes early in the show to get us cooking in the algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. If you're here on YouTube, smash the likes right now. I can't stress how big of a deal that is. I'd really appreciate it. And let's move forward. So I got to say, shout out to Ozzy Osbourne, man. RIP. I didn't do my show. I didn't do the show yesterday. I had some family stuff to take care of. But man, I listened to Crazy Train and My Mom Coming Home and all the classics yesterday a bunch of times, and it hit me last night. I actually had to look up how many years ago Randy Rhoads passed away. And so for the first time in 43 years, Ozzy and Randy Rhoads are finally jamming together again. And, the reuniting in heaven, that's kind of what put me at peace a little bit with Ozzy's death, that he's been separated from his best friend for so long. For them to reunite is, kind of a thing, gives you solace kind of thing. So big RIP to the Prince of Darkness. Also, guys, I want to say this tweet last night. And it's funny that when I tweeted this last night, the crypto market cap last night did sit last night at 3.999 trillion. Right now, the crypto market cap here, let's just go to the top here, get a fresh refresh on CoinGecko. Sits at 3937. So you can see, you know, we're talking 60 billion wiped off the board last night, you know, during, you know, today, last night into today. That's a lot of money. That's a whole lot of money, but that's a part of crypto. If you really think altcoins are going to have these 80% pumps and no one's going to take profits, you know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of, it all goes back to strategy. Like, if you're a day trader, yes, this is a big deal. There are moves here. You're gonna react to this. But if you're someone that's just trying to experience the market through a spot bag, if your spot bag is your main priority, you are okay. Calm down. Don't get too worked up. This happens because you have to ask yourself, was that the top of the bull run? Absolutely not. So calm down. Calm down. Once the prices of the altcoins get back to the December targets, then we can start having a conversation. But until we're even there, we can't get upset. We can't. This is just a part of the game. Even if it takes a month or 2 or 3, patience is the key. Trading is the transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. Be the patient. Okay, I can't stress that enough. So it is pretty funny how this tweet from last night that the total crypto market cap last night sat at 3.999 trillion. All of the projects outside of the top 10 only constitute 7.65% of the total market cap. And in my opinion, that's not a weakness. That's an opportunity. The next 10 to 20x will not come from the top 10. It's brewing below. And I stand by this statement. And this always cycles back to, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, I want to know, what really is it are you trying to accomplish? If your goal is to, 2x, then okay. Or if your goal is that you have a multi-million-dollar portfolio and you're trying to protect, okay, well, that's a different strategy than someone that says, maybe has less than 50,000, less than 100,000, and they're trying to get as many gains as they can. They're trying to 3 or 4 or 5x or more. That's not going to come out of the top 10. And I always try to get this across to people, and there's always a few people in the comments saying blah 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 blah. But those few people in the comments, they're not going to catch the gains that we're going to catch. It's just not going to happen because they're so saturated in the top. But the fact that if you look at right here, CoinGecko, all right, here we are. So, and the numbers I said in that tweet are stable coins included. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, Dogecoin, Stake Ether, and Cardano. That right there is like 92%, 93% of the entire crypto market cap. And everything underneath them, from Tron down, from 11 to, let's say there's 30,000 crypto coins, from 11 to 30,000, that's only 7.65% of the total crypto market cap. That thought alone, like, it kind of splits me in two different ways. What makes me think that, okay, well, the most established projects are the most protected, but in the same breath, the projects that are going, if we're trying to accomplish a goal of a 3 or 4 or 5x, then yes, we're going to have to look below the top 10. And that is common sense to me, but some people don't understand that. And I have to try my very best to hammer that home. I do want to take a moment to look at the gainers and the losers of today inside the top 100, just to kind of, basically this is one of those days where there's nothing on the left. A few coins are up 1% and everything else, WorldCoin, Optimism, Aptos, Floki, Stacks, XRP, Doge, a lot of coins down, 13 to 8% across the board. And guys, really, in terms of retest I've seen in crypto, things I've experienced in crypto, this is really not that big of a deal. And the reason I make a point to say this is that it is so, oh man, people are so simple sometimes, man. It's like when we pump, it's like hallelujah, let's all hold hands and sing kumbaya. But we lose like 10% and people start freaking out. They start losing their minds. And then, you know, it makes me think, okay, well, you haven't been here for you haven't been here long enough. Like, you know what I mean? Like 10% is like not that big of a deal. Some people are like, oh, that's it. Worst summer ever. We're totally done. We're totally screwed. And people that have been here for a while are like, okay, man. Yeah. Like, yeah, I remember my first bull run. You know what I mean? So it's okay. But it's also, don't get caught up in the emotions of other people. You're going to see the emotions bleed when people lose 10%. They like, some people are not cut out for this game. Some people cannot handle this. And I don't want you to read a couple tweets and get freaked out and become one of those people. Crypto builds callous. Crypto hardens you in a way that's like, you know what? You know, I lost, 80 grand last night. Well, oh, well, let's play video games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you cannot get caught up in the emotion. Because if you do, this game is not for you. This game is not for you. You need to be down. You need to be okay with taking massive swings. And because the further you swing down, the further you swing out. And if you're one of those people that gets upset about losing $300 and you get really happy about winning $300, that's like a problem. That's like a problem about how you interface with money. Like, you have to really not care if you take a massive dent, and you can get excited, but you don't want to be like overjoyed. You don't want the polarities of the swings to be too much. Because if you have really high highs and really low lows, crypto is not for you. Like, and I think it's really important to say that to people, because most influencers, they just want you to buy whatever it is they're selling. They just want you to jump on the board that they're on. And that's all good and well. But I'm also here to say to the certain percentage of people listening that if this has really affected your emotions, if this 10% dent really bothered you, you need to take a long look at that. You need to evaluate that and get a hold of it, or understand that maybe leverage trading isn't for you. And if you wanted 3-4 extra money through spot bags, to do that. Because it's really about, I'm just trying to help people along and understand that, like, there are people out there that really should not be playing with this kind of fire. And I would rather be the person to sit them down and say, hey man, like, maybe we should try something else other than, oh, just keep going, you'll be fine. Because I've seen the highs and the lowest of lows of people reacting to a dump in crypto, and it's bad. It can get really ugly. And yeah, man, I just want to say that as to look out for anyone out there that might be struggling today. The last thing you want to see is people with like mental health like deteriorating because they don't know how to handle their emotions when trading conditions go the other direction. So yeah, it's just honestly looking out for you guys. Ian hates crypto. BitBoy is coming for you. Oh no. Oh my God. Honestly, I hope he gets the help he needs, man. That's really all I want to say. I wish him the very best. Mark to Fly 216, $5 super chat. Do you think the 560 billion trade deal with Japan will have any effect on Jasmy for this bull run? Well, dude, I want to say that American people generally don't understand Japanese culture. And I say that because I don't really understand Japanese culture. And a very close friend of mine who actually sat down with me, and if you watch the Jasmy price prediction on my channel from several months ago, this is a friend of mine who's a scientist who I went to kindergarten with, lifelong friend of mine, who has gone to Japan back and forth like several times, like a lot. It's like a common thing for Jesse to be in Japan. And he kind of came at Jasmy from looking at it from the perspective of the culture there. And a win for Japan and crypto is a win for Jasmy. If Japan is doing well, Jasmy is doing well. And that's something I want to get across. And that's something why I won't let go of okay, I think I'm back. Hold on. Can you see slash hear me? Oh, hold on, stop. Jay, I think it's working. Okay, we're back. We're back. We're good. It was just my wife. Sorry, everybody. The glitter queen.
It
that
was
camera.
because I showed up.
Oh,
I fixed it.
Okay.
With the magic of my presence.
Thank you, Jada. We do appreciate you. Smash the likes for the glitter queen, everybody. Okay, so that was really weird. So honestly, no, yeah, actually, sure. So we live on an island in Washington, and sometimes the Wi-Fi is really good, and sometimes it just cuts off for no reason. And I've never had it on a stream or anything, but today it went off, and I looked at the modem, and the modem was red. So I was like, hands in the air. If the modem's red, that's really bad. And then it came back. So that was the quickest Wi-Fi outage in the history of the channel. Sorry about that. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure you smash the like button to let everybody know, hey, the stream is back. That's a bummer. It happened, 10, 12 minutes into the show, whatever. But no big deal. So stream crash, crypto crash, basically. Okay, we're back. So let's go pick up for where we left off. Let me make sure I think I might have to reconnect my couple things here. Okay, share screen, allow. Yeah, I have to like completely reset my setup here. 1 second, sorry about that. Extra camera, 4K, share, add stage. Okay, we're back. Now I'm pretty sure when I do this, it's going to go to the other camera. That's fine. It is what it is sort of today. All right, so where to begin? I am kind of bummed that Jim Cramer, he is saying that Bitcoin and Ethereum are a hedge against US debt. Is this true? Well, I wish he didn't say that, because normally whatever he says, the exact opposite happens. I'm sure a lot of people are bummed that he said that, but for the first time in my life, I hope Jim is right. I don't know what took him so long to realize that this is true, and this has been true for a very long time. And now he's finally like, oh, I'm here. I'm here now. I want to own Bitcoin and Ethereum for my kids. What took you so long, Jim? Jimmy boy, What took you so long, dude? But yeah, let's just hope that that he is right for once. And I'm gonna leave that there. The Senate committee is set to release a CFTC crypto draft in September. And there have been a couple ETFs that have been delayed or put on the back burner, at least for now, which has been, kind of bearish. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I think it's because they've kind of established in the Genius bill that, so most things that are basically decentralized that, are going to be monitored by the CFTC and not the SEC. They've established that, but now the SEC still needs to kind of from there evaluate how they're going to do that. So, it does make sense for them to start putting some paperwork together. It is almost the end of July. So to have something in September is actually them moving pretty quickly. The draft will work alongside another bill from the banking committee. Lawmakers want to finish the full crypto framework by September with support from both parties. And guys, let's just say that last line out loud really quick right now. Lawmakers want to finish the full crypto framework by September with support from both parties. So there you go. In terms of, are we freaking out over a 10% retest? Hell no. Hell no. The timeline, the stars are aligning. We had the pump we had without Jerome Powell doing anything. We've been pausing the whole time. What's going to happen when the CFTC finally establishes their role once, the real regulation happens? And then by the time that happens, all the ETFs that keep getting paused or delayed are likely 90% likelihood to get accepted and to be under the control of the CFTC. And that includes Litecoin, Avalanche, Hedera, PENGU, handful of altcoins, Suede. And then from there, timeline Bitcoin halving has spit us out Q3, Q4, forever. That has been the timeline a year and a half after the halving. And now right here, right there in the print, lawmakers want to finish the full crypto framework by September with support from both parties. Guys, don't get too caught up in this summer timeline. This summer has never supposed to been the top. This summer is supposed to be maybe when we wake up a little bit, maybe we start getting a little excited. But basically, if we're going to have an extremely massive bullish bull run, and imagine when slashes start happening, when the framework is set up by the CFTC, when all these ETFs get approved and they're much more accessible for traditional accessibility. Once all these things happen at once and we're in the timeline with the Bitcoin halving, we're going to see a massive bull run at the end of this year. So I kind of think this July pump, retest or not, is so you cannot get things too cheap for when things really pop. So we're going to take a long look at the charts and kind of determine where is a really good place to buy more for any of or all of these coins that we're looking at. And I think that understanding that, really where we're at now, or even our local high from last night, that's still cheap. That is still cheap. Really quick, let me adjust the chat here for a second. Look at the 4-hour bullish pin bar on XRP. Okay, we can look at the XRP chart later. 151 owners. Man, does patience come with age? Because I always get so emotional when trading. I just can't help with all the FOMO and FUD. I sold some of my bag out of fear this morning only to buy them back. Well, I mean, I turned 34 on Sunday, so I don't really know if age is the best determining factor, but I think it's one of those bits where it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. And even if I took a 6-figure or close to 6-figure dent from 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday to now in 12 hours, I'm like, okay, sure. Because I know that wasn't the top. And I know that we're going to blow past those prices and blow past December prices and have a real bull run. So for me, it's not about zoning into the right now and having the wherewithal to understand the macro and saying, dude, we did what we did without slashes yet. The CFTC is still getting their ducks in a row. What's going to happen when all these altcoins, their ETFs get approved? Like, there's so much going on in the macro, and the fact that Bitcoin and Ethereum didn't really take a dent. It's just, dude, it's people taking profits, and it's a normal retest. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So when you look at things from, okay, like that wasn't the top, like, you know, that wasn't the top of the bull run. Like, we're going to have another chance. Actually, this is just another chance to buy more at lower prices, because if December is target one, and we're still so far, but 100% below December, we can't get upset about a little retest now. So, like, zoom out and calm down. And once you kind of realize that that money, you didn't lose that money because you didn't realize anything yet, because what you're going to realize is miles above what you have now, and know that deep down in your soul. So I feel that kind of can help, you know, with the emotion by zooming out and realizing, you know, that wasn't it. That wasn't all of the bull run. This is a normal retest. So that helps me. Fabio says, let's go. Hugs from Portugal. Hey, man, thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Make sure you smash the like button, Fabio. I really appreciate you being here from Portugal. I think there was someone from Manchester, UK yesterday. I mean, on Monday. There was also someone from Australia last week. There's people all around the world that watch this channel. I was actually really surprised to see one of my sponsors asked me for my YouTube analytics, and I was actually really surprised to see that only 55% of the people who watch this channel are American. 45% of the consistent viewers from this channel do not live in America. And I was kind of like, damn, like, that's actually pretty cool. I like imagined that number to be higher, probably like 60, 70, maybe higher than that. But 55%, that's insane. Dan GG, who do you think really runs the market? Not retail. I think that's the answer. Not retail. Yeah, that's my answer. All right, let's keep the ball rolling. Got a handful of things to talk about here. So XRP, like we were saying, let me just go back to where we were, that the Senate committee is to release the CFTC crypto draft in September. So remember that in September, we know that the CFTC is going to ultimately control most cryptos that are deemed, quote, decentralized, which is a lot of them. But we still don't know their personal framework on how the CFTC is going to handle things. And we'll have a better picture of that in September, which is right on time with our timeline anyway. But so XRP wipes out 20 billion in a day after a bizarre SEC ETF decision. And it's not really bizarre, but it is bizarre in the terms that, you know, there was a lot. So here's kind of more on that right here. The drop was fueled by a sudden regulatory reversal where the SEC abruptly halted the conversion of Bitwise's 10 crypto index fund into an ETF on July 22nd, which would have included XRP. The move came just hours after the SEC's Division of Trading and Markets granted initial approval. So, and the fund is heavily weighted towards Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the remainder will be allocated to Solana, XRP, Cardano, among others. We talked about this one the other day, and it manages over $1 billion in assets, is rebalanced monthly. And basically they're saying that it's bizarre because, you know, early on, it seemed like this was going to get a green light. It felt like, you know, this was going to happen. And then out of nowhere, they were like, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. At the 11th hour, they said, let's wait out. And it wasn't like a no. It was like a hold on a second. And I think the hold on a second is because of the story I showed you before, that like they're still trying to figure out who's going to do what and what the rules are going to be once who does what they're doing. And that still hasn't been established. And that's why so many ETFs are getting paused right now. They're not getting said no to, but they're getting the pause button. And that also aligns with our timeline, because like if we have like really, really bullish altcoin news when we're experiencing a retest, you know, I kind of think that they want crypto, they want altcoins to come out, they want people to fold their paper hands. So once the storm brews, the storm being interest finally gets slashed, the regulatory stuff being completely clear on both sides of the fence, the ETFs all getting approved. Once all of that storm happens, that's when we're going to see the real push, and that will align with the timing of the Bitcoin halving. So for me, it's not really like a no. It's just like a hold on, let's get our ducks in a row. And I don't really think it's that bizarre when you think about it like that. So let's keep it going. I do want to talk on this story really quick. It's not so much of a crypto story, but it does matter to me. The White House releases Trump's AI action plan. Here's what's in it. President Trump's American AI action plan is here, and it's drawing praise and criticism for prioritizing growth over safety. And I'm all for growth over safety. I really am. The truth is, if you guys upload me to the cloud, Black Mirror style, I'm so down. I'm so down. San Junipero my ass, bro. Let's do this. All right, so the White House unveiled its national AI strategy centered on growth, infrastructure, and global dominance. Critics says it overlooks risk and weakens existing safeguards. The plan promotes deregulation, open source models, and export controls. So basically, today, they unveiled the strategy to cement the U.S. dominance in artificial intelligence, right there. U.S. dominance in artificial intelligence, drawing criticism from civil rights and policy groups who say it sacrifices safety for power. The AI action plan outlines Trump administration's push to fast track AI infrastructure, export American-made systems to allies, and roll back Biden-era regulations seen as obstacles for growth. Of course, the plan follows Trump's earlier launch of a $500 billion Stargate project, a private sector initiative led by OpenAI, Oracle, and a Japanese conglomerate, SoftBank, to boost AI infrastructure and growth. So right here, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy Director Michael Krastios says in a statement, this plan galvanizes federal efforts to turbocharge our innovation capacity, building cutting-edge infrastructure, and led globally, ensuring that American workers and families thrive in the AI era. We are moving with urgency to make this vision a reality. And guys, why is this such a big deal? Why is this such a big deal? Go back to Trump's initial statement at Bitcoin a couple of years ago, the Bitcoin conference. He wants America to be the crypto and AI capital of the world. Crypto and AI. And if you go back and watch my previous interview with Sonny Liu, we talk about how BMO, the mascot for VBetterDAO, is going to become an AI agent inside of VBetterDAO. And we will get to a point where AI will be generating on-chain activity more than normal people. AI is going to run crypto in a way that humans could have never done before. And people don't totally grasp that. I'm still trying to completely wrap my mind around it. But I think the most important point to drive home here is that crypto and AI, I feel like you can't really have one without the other. And before, it has just been crypto. But once you add AI into the mix, it accelerates everything in a massive way. I mean, even I just saw a tweet today how Algorand is integrating AI, and every project is going to become an AI project in crypto in some way, shape, or form, or they will get left behind. There will be an AI aspect to every crypto project that survives. I mean that. And I think it's only for the good. And the fact that Trump is kind of ignoring the Biden era being way too stringent on everything and saying, hey, let it rock. That's only good news for the crypto industry. And it's only good news for the existing AI coins that have already been having this ball rolling for years now. So guys, keep an eye on the AI coins. I'm all for it. And guys, I think that the reason they're exporting US AI is because we don't want people to be kind of ingesting AI built from other countries. We want to have the stack because we don't like, what if there's like some sneaky stuff going on inside AI built from other countries? Well, they would get to control like that aspect. Trump would rather say, hey, let's beat everyone to the punch with crypto. Let's beat everyone to the punch with AI. Let's get these regulations out of the way and be the home base for the future. This is like a generational play that I don't think people completely understand how big of a deal this is. And it is, obviously there are going to be mixed shifts with the singularity and everyone talking about stuff like that. But I think this is a massive power play from Trump. And I think as time goes on, it's going to be super clear that the crypto and AI, them two working together, once people see that clearly, clear as day, everyone's going to go, oh shit. that's much a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. So keep a close eye out for the AI project. Here's another story I want to talk about. Ripple to unlock, oh, sorry, you guys can't see it yet. Ripple to unlock 1 billion XRP on August 1st. Incoming sell-off. This is such a fucking trap of a story, dude. This is such a trap of a story, because anybody who knows anything about XRP tokenomics would know that they do this every month. They do this every month. So how XRP tokenomics work is that 1 billion tokens are supposed to leave an escrow account and go into the supply. But very early on in the journey of XRP tokenomics, they realized that if they just 1 billion in, 1 billion in, 1 billion in every month, all the XRP tokens would be in supply by now. All XRP tokens would have been in supply for a couple of years by now if they stuck to that original plan. So what they do is, instead of taking 1 billion tokens out of that escrow account and putting it into the supply, I don't know how they calculate the number of how many actually go into the supply, but basically they take that billion XRP out of the escrow account. They put an arbitrary amount of them into the supply and the rest of them into another escrow account. So then this has been the deal with XRP tokenomics forever. And this is why they don't want to oversaturate. And that's why XRP is only like 60% of the way there. There's still 40% of the tokens that are still yet to enter the supply, which is kind of a scary concept when you think about it. But this is such a trap of a story, because if you didn't realize that that's how XRP tokenomics work and have been working forever, that doesn't mean they're going to sell off. They unlock 1 billion XRP every month because that's how their tokenomics work. So don't get caught up with stories like this. It's literally just a trap for clicks. I wanted to talk about this story yesterday, but I missed it. But Hedera boomed with BlackRock, and Fidelity Funds now live on Hedera. And it is so funny, dude, because if you remember a little bit over a year ago, there was the BlackRock pump for Hedera. Basically, when Hedera was working with Archax, and Archax basically was putting BlackRock on chain in some way, shape, or form. But like, BlackRock didn't say, hey, let's get Hedera to do this thing. They said, hey, Archax, get someone to do this thing for us. And they picked Hedera. So the way the HBAR Foundation marketed what they were doing, it was as if, they were holding hands with BlackRock, walking up the hill, when BlackRock came out and said, hey, dude, calm down. It wasn't like that. But now that things have actually grown since then, a lot of people took that as like a negative thing, that HBAR kind of lied about that tweet. But they did, but they didn't. But the truth is that the tweets that Hedera put out were greenlit by all parties. But then BlackRock kind of backed out a little bit. I think they got spooked. There was something that happened there that I'm not totally sure of. But at the end of the day, now HBAR got BlackRock on blockchain. Look at this. HBAR ramps up 99% bull rally with BlackRock and other big names delegating their own tokens on their DLT, distributed ledger technology network. A new wave of large inflow has been spotted on the Hedera hash graph, the popular DLT. Recently, Hedera's native HBAR token price tacked onto the broader crypto market, topping the quarterly peak last weekend. So right here, BlackRock's $76 billion treasury is now live on HBAR. And guys, this is the whole governing council thing that everyone slept on. There are some very, very large names in crypto that openly shit on HBAR back in the day. And I was like, hey, dude, you're so wrong. You're so wrong. Like, HBAR is going to murder it. And I mean, and HBAR Tata, this is a guy I've been following each other on Twitter forever. He said some very interesting tokens were just created on the Hedera mainnet, and they look like tokenized money funds from Archax. Names include BlackRock, Fidelity, ILF, State Street, Aberdeen, LGIM. Institutional RWA tokenization on Hedera could be about to ramp up and damn right. Not to mention in the background, if you look from, August, October, December to May, this right here is HBAR millionaire whales are still stacking tokens. And of course they are, because there are, in terms of like the on-chain institutional money, I'm pretty sure Hedera has almost every altcoin covered by a while. And this is only going to legitimize Hedera. I mean, if they have all those, that whole list we just mentioned off, like BlackRock, Fidelity, Aberdeen, etc., that just so all the other funds are going to say, oh, how should we tokenize RWAs? And they say, oh, well, BlackRock went with Hedera. Let's do what they're doing. That's what's going to happen. Don't ever sleep on HBAR, ever. I've been saying that for a very long time, and I stand by it. Quick look at the Hedera chart. Looking at a 2 hour, all right. And back here, this is actually, let me try to pull this down a little bit, make sure you guys can see it. This is like 16.2 alarm. This is back when we were like talking on the live stream in the Telegram group, like back in this kind of range is when we were really accumulating most of our HBAR. And thankfully so, this is a place on the chart where we did a lot of work. And I think that kind of that, 13 to 16 cent range in the past, if you kind of look back at this kind of baby run and even the run before, I mean, look at where Hedera really had a little stop and go. Where was this stop and go range between, really 12 and 18 cents. So this is like a range we've seen before. And obviously massive support resistance right here at, this 18 cent alarm, 1809 alarm. That alarm has been a really big one, just like 16.2 has been a really big one with floor ceiling support resistance right here. And I remember buying a bunch of HBAR in between 15 and 16 cents, which was like as this started to put in its own uptrend right here. And understand that if we're kind of following the theory of a bump and run, we kind of already broke out of the local uptrend, and it would make sense for HBAR to come down and test this uptrend before continuing on. Doesn't happen all the time, but on the 2 hour here, we lost the 50 EMA. We're, kind of kissing the 200 EMA. And honestly, it's really not that bad. Anytime you see a straight, like right here, let me make sure you guys can see where I'm talking about. 1 second. All right, so right here, I know there's a lot of alarms. Let me get some of these alarms out of the way so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to leave the 16.2, but everything else got to go. So right here, when we kind of see this slow crawl, putting in higher lows, putting in higher highs, that's kind of like when you should start paying attention to, okay, we are no longer in this confirmed downtrend anymore. We're starting a bullish structure. But then when you have a confirmed historical support resistance level like 18.9, when that gets broken, of course, that's where HBAR really starts to wake up. This was the moment. I mean, even if you just go from 18, that alarm, to this spot on the staircase, I mean, that's a 15% move in 22 hours. That's no joke, not at all. So let's look at this in terms of, let me make these white. Let's look at this staircase in terms of when HBAR moved up and where it put in a high and where it put in a low, and where it put in a high and where it put in a low. So you'll see this right here is its own staircase. This right here is its own staircase. And this chunk of right here is its own staircase. And then of course the high is its own staircase. So now we kind of got to determine, okay, well, where is HBAR? How can we figure out where HBAR is going to retest and how far it could go? So a couple concepts initially run in my mind. First thing is this box of chop right here, and this alarm right here, this low. And I'm going to quantify that low for you. I'm going to measure it perfectly. I'm actually going to pull it down to the local low itself. So 223. Okay. Why is this alarm so important? Because if this alarm goes off on a 2 hour time frame, we will have already lost. We would be pending a death cross And if this alarm goes off, look to the right. Look at the volume profile. Boom. That doesn't spit us out. So we go straight through this spot on the staircase, straight through 22 to 21. And I mean, that's still what? A 5.6% move where that little white squiggle is. I'll add another white squiggle to show you, to illustrate that. Okay. So if we go through this box because of the like basically a volume death cliff, that would spit us back at this box. And that's even scarier because the point of control from, if we're looking at a fixed volume range from basically the middle of June to now, you know, I mean, how many days are we really looking at here? We're basically looking at, in the past 40 days, the point of control for the past 40 days is still at 15 cents. And I'm not saying it's going down to 15 cents. I'm just saying that if you really look at like the money and where some orders are sitting, there are a lot of orders sitting down there. So the alarm 223 for HBAR is a big alarm. And your first target's 21 cents right here. And the next target is 19.3 right here. And then we have these other alarms to follow up. So kind of just using that basic math, man, I really don't want to see the 223 alarm go off on HBAR, because if it does, that is a cut and dry short. That will be good for at least 6 to 10%. So now what? So let's just kind of zoom in a little bit here with Hedera and kind of talk about, okay, so we had our local run, and how many days was this? You know, from the, maybe not from, all right, from the very bottom to the very top, 25 days. 25 days. And that's interesting. It's interesting because if you go back and measure the December pump, how long was that? 29 days, 30 days. And that has been the new meta for altcoins, where we have a pump and we give it back, and we have a pump and we give it back. And those pumps last roughly 30 days. And I said that in the last live stream, in the beginning of the last live stream. Go look at it. We were kind of seeing this coming. It's kind of obvious. When you see a sharp move, hold on, let me at the right time. When you see a move that sharp, you gotta know that it's going to give some of that back before it continues. And listen, HBAR very well could come down here, could flirt with this alarm, could go sideways and explode in September. That wouldn't be out of the ordinary. I'm just saying that when you move that far, 130% in 5 days, you are going to have people that take profits. You are going to see this come down. It's inevitable. And if we read a Fibonacci level, it basically aligns with our support resistance levels. Okay, let me change the color of the Fibonacci. And our support resistance levels are white. Isn't that crazy? It just aligns with our support resistance. And losing 22.3 would be the 382 on the Fibonacci. And then going under 20 cents would be 0.5 on Fibonacci. So you could use that as well to determine, okay, how far down could we really go here? I would like I'm telling you, 22.3 is the alarm you do not want to see go off on HBAR. Second, let's talk about if we were to time this thing coming back up, how would we do it? First thing, we have this larger uptrend here, touching the very top to this wick here, okay? And that creates this yellow downtrend. All right, that's thing number one. Thing number two is that we have this downtrend forming here when you connect the top from here to the bottom of here. These two right there. So this is creating what? A bump and run, where if this level, this historical support resistance level from back here at 25.7.257, why is this level important? Well, we were rejected here. We bounced off of it here, and we bounced off of it again here. And we already have got the death cross on the 23-minute chart. So we really want to see if this 257 alarm was to go off, it's pretty likely that HBAR would get back above the 50 EMA on the 23-minute time frame before it broke the 257 alarm. And ultimately, that would be somewhat of a confirmation breakout, because if we break this local trend line, the target becomes the bump and run trend line. And if we break this trend line, then we can continue on and out. So we kind of can have a timeline here on like really bearish scenario, somewhat bearish scenario, and then bullish scenario. So you have to look at it that as simple as that, where 25.7 becomes a long alarm and 22.3 becomes, oh no, this is going to fucking get bad alarm. And I don't care what happens in the middle. I do not care what happens between 22.3 and 257. Those are the only two alarms on the HBAR chart that matter right here, right now. It's a 15% range, and that will be the difference between bullish continuation or going back to retest the 618 or 786 in the scope of this local trend that started from the bottom of June 22nd to the top of July 17th or even July 21st based off of the wick or the body of the candle. So that is a pretty broad stroke overview for Hedera. Another coin I want to talk about is Dogecoin. Dogecoin is really interesting right now because we talked about this long-term pennant kind of breakdown here versus this, shorter term downtrend facing a longer term uptrend. If you want to interpret this as like a big, kind of W or like I don't want to say cup and handle, but this is shorter than this. So you could say cup and handle, but really just like kind of a W double bottom type pattern. The breakout of 26 was an idea that I had. And in all honesty, it was fair. It was a fair alarm for a scalp trade. That was good for 10% in 2 days. So it's not that like we were wrong with that alarm. But when you kind of zoom out, you kind of see that a couple things that yell at me right away. It's a really good thing to see that it broke down out of this downtrend. What we want to see, similar to Hedera, is a place for this thing to plant its feet and fight. And I would say that level would be right in here. If you look at that high right there, I see 23.3. And it did kind of wick off of that level. But on the 2 hour, you look at Market Cipher here, it's really easy to point out that, okay, well, we did kind of come down in the money flow, but we also had a really big dip on the momentum wave and a green dot right here. And the RSIs are hooking. So, there is an argument that you could say that, okay, well, maybe what if we just bounced off of this and continued? We easily could do that. But in all fairness, let's just, alarm each side and react rather than guess. And that's kind of how I always trade. So if we go from the local low, and I'll actually go to the wick, not the wick would be 231. Okay, let me kind of pull this down just to get it correct right there. So that's really the range that is concerning me with Dogecoin right now. I'm not really thinking past conditional ranges. 226 we go high and 28 becomes the target, previous high. And then if 231 goes off, obviously this level right here, which has been massive floor ceiling support resistance at 21.2, that becomes a short alarm, and that short alarm is about a 9% trade to the downside. So really the only two alarms I'm focusing on right now for Dogecoin are 26 cents and 23.1. There is a quick overview on Dogecoin. Another really interesting article that I saw today, where to go? Here it is. Couple things. PENGU rallies to all-time high, surpassing January peak. And guys, I am impressed. With how well PENGU has done. The whole Pudgy Penguins ecosystem, they did catch and pass the Bored Ape Yacht Club. At least for now, they've passed each other back and forth multiple times. And really, it comes down to the PENGU coin. If you want to just kind of look at a quick 2 hour chart of what has happened with the PENGU coin. I mean, golly, if we go from the local low, June 22nd, to 30 days later, in 30 days, this thing pumped exactly 501% from local low to all-time high. That is extremely impressive. And then, of course, you can start kind of pulling bump and run angles. You kind of do stuff like this, where you kind of elongate the lower alarms down here. And you could say, okay, well, if we set obviously a really big alarm for PENGU. I know there's a lot of stuff on this chart that doesn't matter anymore, but a couple things that do matter to me really quickly is this alarm right here. That's probably the most important alarm for me on PENGU. That would be at 3.5 cents, 0.035. And because obviously we would clearly have already broken the trend, or even if you want to go from local low, which makes sense actually, which would be 383. Those two alarms would be, I have my eye out for those for shorts, because that would require, first of all, to go under the 50 EMA to break this massive uptrend that has been going on for weeks now. And, you know, shorting from 383 could be a target to 3.5. That right there is an 8.1% trade. And then if it loses 3.5, I mean, then we kind of bring out the big guns on the other trend alarms, or, you know, other big support resistance levels like this one here, basically right at 3 cents. You know, that's really where your brain starts to run on, you know, what's possible when this thing comes down. Because let's be honest, guys, this thing pumped 500% in 30 days. There's going to eventually be a place and a time where a scalp short makes a lot of sense. I mean, so much. If something pumps 500% and the leverage trader inside of you isn't thinking, oh, we gonna leverage, we gonna short this motherfucker, then you're not, that's what your brain should do every time. All right. So that's the little dumb dance that I do. And of course, guys, don't rule out local high. Do not sleep on alarming local high. It could have all the bearish confluence in the world, but the truth is 463. If it could have all the bearish confluence in the world, but if that local high alarm goes off, go long, because right here, that was correct. 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 There's been a lot of times if the local high alarm goes off, you should have long PENGU. And guys, alarming the local high is not a hard concept to do in crypto, but in a bull run, it is a very profitable, simple line to draw. Okay. And there's a lot of money to be made there. So honestly, I don't really give a shit what happens in between here. I'm looking, is it going to continue, or is it going to lose this uptrend, and then 0383 is breakdown confirmation, and 035 becomes target number 1, and then exactly 3 cents becomes target number 2. If target short alarm goes off, like I said, target 1 is about 8.5, almost 9% down, and then the second target is about 20.5% down the hill. And guys, that would make a lot of sense. And what's really funny is that, okay, well, we saw some altcoins bleed, right? Well, yeah, PENGU bled. PENGU bled, basically 15% down to that support resistance level, but it's also up 11% in the past 7 hours. So this, you know, seeing this type of activity really doesn't freak me out about the overall result of what we've witnessed here with this little retest that we had. I mean, this very well could just range sideways and continue. This does not have to be a bloodbath. Do not get me wrong. And this is why I don't freak out. I don't get emotional. I just look at it plainly. Okay, here's the local high of this range. Here's the local low of this range. If we lose local low, we go short. If we local high, we go long. We go long. It's that simple. It does not have to be this overcomplicated, convoluted pile of bullshit. It could be as simple as, let's set an alarm here, let's set an alarm here, and figure out what to do when one of those alarms goes off. Keep it simple, stupid. This concept has made me millions. But now, we have to talk. ApeCoin versus PENGU. Who's winning the NFT token war in 2025? Well, we just did look at the PENGU chart. We did illustrate that it pumped 500% in 30 days. Now let's look at the ApeCoin chart. And the ApeCoin chart isn't as impressive. It's really not. From the bottom in June to the local top here, it had a 40% pump in 28 days. So while PENGU pumped 500, ApeCoin only pumped 41. But feel like Pudgy Penguins have played a lot of their hands. They've played a lot of their hands, man. What else could they do besides getting the ETF approval that would really push this thing further and further and further and further and further and further? And when you think PENGU versus ApeCoin, who has won? Obviously, PENGU fucking won that battle. But that does not mean they won the war. Because honestly, at this point, if I'm looking at this chart here, that's completely undervalued, that if you pull Fibonacci from the bottom to the December high, we are still well below the 786, got rejected from the 786. Not to mention we have a cup and handle. Not to mention the breakout for the cup and handle target is, 80, 78%, 80% from the current price, and the December high is 220% target from the current price. I would not be scared to say that if you bought $1,000 of PENGU right now and you bought $1,000 of ApeCoin right now, and you sold them both on January 1st, I wouldn't be surprised if ApeCoin outperformed PENGU from here. Because really, like, how much further can it go? It pumped 500%. On the flip side, we got something that, it's not setting the world on fire, but it is putting it in higher lows. It is in an ascending triangle. It is in a cup and handle. It has a massive volume gap here between 77 and 120, which aligns with the measured move. The volume profile aligns perfectly with the measured move, and that's a pretty safe 70% to make, in my opinion. I've even myself and several people from the Bored Ape community have said $2 ApeCoin by ApeFest, which is the October, and I'm not ruling that out. I don't think it's over yet. Obviously, PENGU has won so far, but from right here to the end of the year, who's going to pump more? I would put my money on Ape. And why? Because other side has not come out yet. And other side is going to be the complete determining factor on if Metaverse becomes a narrative ever again. The Metaverse narrative, Ready Player One, upload me to the cloud. That whole shit in 21 was a really big deal in 21. Why? Because the technology didn't exist yet. We were betting on a concept that we've seen in bad movies that we have not immersed ourselves in yet. On the flip side, the other verse land sales happened in 2021. The other side land deeds launched in 21. It's 2025, going on 2026. And all they've done is put time and money in developing the other side. And if you go into the other side, I think I might have just lost my fucking stream again. Damn it, dude. If you go into the other side, guys, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can still hear me, because I think my Wi-Fi popped out again. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can still see me. If you can still see me, let me finish my thought. Other side is going to be everything, because we're good. So if other side works out the way we think it can work out, considering they put 5 years of development into this project, if that takes off, that is going to reinvigorate the entire Metaverse narrative. And if other side takes off, ApeCoin to the moon, my friends. And trust me, the Bored Ape Yacht Club isn't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It might not have the hype the Pudgy Penguins has right now, but this has also been around for longer. This has also been, a blue chip NFT and has maintained that status. And they will continue to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. I don't think there will ever be a clear winner between that battle. Maybe I'll be wrong, maybe not. But all right, so let's continue the show here. I know some people in the chat were screaming technical analysis for Avalanche and VeChain. We can do that. I also want to go back to what I said about Polymarket, my previous show of No Sweat Bets, when we said at the time, these numbers have changed substantially since that show. And I said no to a $4 XRP. And XRP also never hit 370. It went to 365, but it went to 370. And I said, okay, a 370, maybe yes. But I said, I'm going to go ahead and say no for $4 and for 370. And I was correct on both of those parts, where if you were to bet no for a $4 XRP when I made that video, that would have been a more than double your money scenario. So guys, first of all, Polymarket is coming back to America. There's been nothing but tweets from Polymarket that it's coming back to America. So guys, turn your VPN on, click the link down below, get yourself signed up now. Because if you're worried about, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. I mean, come on, did you guys not trade KuCoin in 2022? Like, why would you treat this any different than any other project? That's thing number one. But if you are worried about that, you can sign up for Polymarket now, and it will be green light go here in a little while. Polymarket is coming home to America, thank goodness. But on the other side, we have been nailing, and I mean nailing, these calls on No Sweat Bets. If you haven't been following No Sweat Bets, my weekly Polymarket wrap-up show, start tuning in. Start tuning in. We have been printing over there, and it's a completely different thing. It's not a crypto trade, but Polymarket is a window into talking about anything from tennis to UFC to football to basketball to baseball to how many times Elon's going to tweet to let's bet on the weather. Let's, who's going to be the Republican nominee in 2028? What's going to be the best opening weekend for the movies? Who's going to win the F1 race? You can talk about anything through Polymarket, which is why I appreciate that show so much. And I think once you guys see the value of that show and realize that I have won way more than I've lost, I think you should start paying attention to No Sweat Bets, my weekly Polymarket show. And KuCoin was fire for sure. Yeah, Clay the Great, spot on for that point there, man. You're 100% right. Yeah, guys, a minute ago, my laptop, the chat went away and the YouTube went away, and I thought the Wi-Fi shut down again, but apparently I just looked dumb when that happened. And that's okay. I've looked dumb before, and I'll probably look dumb again. Very quickly, we are going to go over Avalanche. We're going to go over VeChain and one other chart. But very quickly, I got to thank the sponsors of the show here. Obviously, Polymarket. If you're not on Polymarket, click the link down below. Get yourself signed up. I just log in with my MetaMask. I do have to use a VPN for now. But the truth is, I do live Orcas Island, Washington. And actually what I do, I like turning my VPN on to look at Polymarket, but the truth is when I place my bets, I have like a little canoe right there. Like I kind of slide. I have a slide. I slide down to the beach because I live right on the water. And then I get in my canoe with my baby, and she paddles the left side. I paddle the right side. And we paddle out into the Puget Sound there. And there's a point once you kind of get past like a couple of these yellow cones that I set up, that when my phone says, hey, you are now in Canada. So I paddle in with my baby through the whales into international waters. I place my bet, and then we swim home together. That is how I've actually been placing all my Polymarket bets. And hey, there is a canoe right down there. Like, prove me wrong. Like, I don't think a federal agent could say that I'm not placing my bets in international waters. Like, prove it. I mean, have you ever seen me, go out there and come back? I've done it like 100 times. I'm not even kidding. So, yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it. So, and also shout out to Polymarket. They rock. Oslo, Decrypted Tax. Ernest, guys, if you have not done your crypto taxes yet, if you extend it to October and you don't know what the hell you're doing, Decrypted Tax. My guy Ernest Lee, we just did an interview on the channel literally last week. He's in a walking encyclopedia. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's been a lawyer for over 20-30 years or something crazy like that, and this guy knows what the hell he's doing. And the last thing I'd want to see is anyone in the Grogger community be on the wrong side of Uncle Sam. Unfortunately, we do have to pay our taxes for now. Hopefully in the future, crypto taxes on capital gains will be abolished. When that happens, that will save me millions of dollars every single year. But until then, I'm going to pay my taxes. And until then, Ernest does my taxes, and he does a damn good job. So if you're worried about, oh, how do my NFTs work? What about my day trades? What about this? What about that? What can I write off? What can I not write off? Oh, don't ask me. Ask the tax professional, a crypto tax professional. Ernest is a crypto tax professional. You can schedule a free consultation. And guys, it's really not that expensive. It's only like $120 for the bottom tier, and it kind of goes up from there based off how many transactions you have. But it really only ranges from $120 to $600, and it doesn't go above 600. That's not bad. That's actually pretty solid. So give Ernest a call if you don't know what you're doing with crypto taxes. Also, Suede. Man, this project, I am going to do another follow-up video with their founder here pretty soon, but basically they're revolutionizing music and using blockchain technology. I've came from the music industry. I used to be a touring musician, and from a band that was signed, by the way. And it is absolutely absurd how much work we put in at the studio, how much time and effort went into writing a single bridge that connects, you know, the chorus to verse 2. You know what I mean? And like, it's insane the amount of time you put into music. But the truth is that the artists do not get paid adequately for their time, because the record labels just completely destroy how much money musicians make. They are leeches. It is a disgusting industry, so disgusting that I left the industry. And it's true that if it wasn't so cutthroat, I probably would still be a musician, and I probably would have never got into crypto. And thank God I got into crypto. Thank God for the leeches out there, because they pushed me into crypto. But the truth is that there are projects out there trying to cut out the middlemen for absolutely every industry. Like if DeFi is cutting out the middlemen for people to bank themselves, that means the middlemen can get cut out for every single thing. And please, let's hope this project continues the beautiful work it's doing and continues to cut out the middlemen in the music industry. You can create a record label with one click. You can write a song with a simple single prompt with AI, and it will be yours to own, and no one's going to leech off of you. And so guys, win or lose with the coin here, I'm all for what the project is attempting to do. And that's why I believe you guys should check them out, because they've already done some really good stuff, like on the ground in Africa and stuff like that. It's a really awesome project. And it's very rare for me to talk about projects that aren't really established. But when I do talk about like projects like outside of the top 300, it has to make sense with me. And this project does completely make sense with me. So make sure you check them out, Suede AI. Make sure you check out the interview that I did with their founder just a couple weeks ago. And there will be a follow-up on that one here pretty soon. Last thing in the ad department here, and probably like my favorite thing to talk about right now, is, guys, we are giving away a damn Tesla Model 3. Okay. And if you don't want the car, that's okay. That's okay. We'll just give you $42,490 in crypto. And this is going off in like 17 days, guys. 17 days, someone from my audience is going to win a Tesla or over $42,000. And guess what? There's also 15 people are going to win $100 in VeChain, and 10 people are going to get a VeChain merch pack that you can't buy anywhere else, that you can only win that specific merch pack through this giveaway. Actually insane. So what I'm saying is that maybe if you don't want the car and you want to juice $42,000 into your bag, and you're the type of person that says, oh, I'm not going to sign up because I never win giveaways, you're probably the person that should sign up. Because the person that won the Tesla before this one said, I never win giveaways. This is the first thing I've ever won in my life. You just changed my entire bull run, dude. Thank you so much. That could be you. It's very simple. It'll take you 3 minutes. 3 minutes it will take you to run through this little bit here. And also, there was a step in the giveaway with Sweep Widget when you download the BYB app, which is the Build Your Body app for VBetterDAO with VeChain, where you basically earn free crypto by doing a workout. And it's a mandatory step. I made that step unmandatory because there wasn't a link. There still isn't a link to download the BYB app with an Android. You can only download the BYB app on an iPhone. So if you got caught on that step with an Android, go back and do it now, because that step is not mandatory anymore. So I did fix that for people that were worried about that. So guys, this is not it, by the way. Sign up for this Tesla giveaway. And if you don't win this one, don't worry. There are still 2 more Tesla giveaways this year. And the final one of the year is rumored to be a Cybertruck. We're giving away a Cybertruck. Don't tell anybody. I didn't say that. I promise. Sign up for the damn Tesla giveaway. All right. I'm really, really hoping a Grogger wins it, man. That'd be absolutely beautiful. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do technical analysis on a couple of projects here. So let me pull up a fresh chart so I'm not like eliminating any of the previous technical TA I had. I did want to quickly point out Ethereum. We talked about Ethereum a lot on the previous blockchain, and guys, like look at it. It's still above 3,600. Like, what are people freaking out about? Like, like if there was a coin that didn't fall yet and things are going to fall, I mean, look at just this. Okay. And look what happened. Boom. And look at just this. And look what happened. Boom. So like you got to kind of tell yourself, okay, well, since 2020, since January of 2024, anytime Ethereum has had a massive correction, this one was 30% in 56 days. This one was 45% in 70 days. This one was 64% in 124 days. And now we're just turning around. Just the thought. It also makes me think, hey, maybe this is just like one of these scenarios where we like have a little hiccup and continue. That very well could be the case here. And we just got our bull cross now. So what does that make me think? Where does my brain go here? Couple places. So obviously this support resistance level here, kind of more based off of historical, and this wick here. This would be 3030. That's a level we don't want to lose. And then of course these like little lows and highs here. So I would say like right around there, and 2800. So let's just say easy numbers, 3000 and 2800, like roughly. That would be a short that I would 100% be going after, which is a 7.5% trade down if that did happen. But I'm not really getting too concerned with Ethereum unless it goes under 3000, because look at the 50 EMA. This is a daily chart. The 50 EMA is going to come up and catch the price action, and it could just be a bounce continue situation, just like this was. You know what I mean? I think people just get scared of these pumps because look, from Ethereum had this move here, had this move here. It had a significant pump, just like this was a significant pump. Am I wrong? And then it did have this moment where we got scared. Oh, it's over. And then from that moment is where it takes back off. So like long term, don't let this stuff completely freak you out. And it really, as long as you're above the 50 EMA on the daily chart, don't get lost. Don't chase. It's not that bad. VeChain. Try to find a clean chart here. I probably have graffiti all over these ones. Okay, so this is actually a perfect chart to use. So this is someone earlier in the show requested to see the VeChain chart. I oblige. So let's talk about this one. Let's eliminate market cipher here, and let's talk about just the kind of basic strategy on this entire picture that we're at. Right now, VeChain has just fallen to slightly under 2.5 cents, which is totally fine. I would say, obviously, guys, this is like the floor for VeChain right here. Obviously, it did wick below this a couple times, but this is 187. That's actually kind of ironic that the number is 187. 0.0187. That's a police call for murder. And that would be really bad if VeChain lost that floor. Let's pray that that does not happen. And I also kind of want to point out that you can't really draw a downtrend on this chart, like a flat downtrend, because it's not one. This is actually like a curved downtrend situation, like similar to Algorand back in the day, where it kind of follows a curvature like that. Kind of hard to draw perfectly, but you kind of get my point. And because it did not get past this previous high right here at basically 3.5 cents, actually 0.348. Let me type that alarm in. All right, so that alarm is massive. Also, local low, local high right here. That would be 3 cents exactly. Another very big alarm. Let me get this one to be smaller, a little big here. All right, so there is kind of a gap between 3 cents and 3.5 cents, which is a 17% move up, by the way, where we did kind of get above that before, and we did not get above that right here during this push. But it's not like the end of the world to me, and here's why. Because if we kind of continue, if we consider now, we can say without a shadow of a doubt, this blue line that I've drawn here. Oh, and this yellow line right here, this is just highlighting that is the beginning of 2026. So, if we see some sort of crazy bull market at the end of this year, like I very much do think we're going to see, it will probably look something like, you know, like that, which is very likely. Okay. So moving into the 2 hour, I hate when VeChain does this. Sometimes the chart looks so strange, and it's not because the candles are different. It's just scrunched different. All right. So we've had very similar setups here, the kind of curvature top, curvature stop. And this isn't something that's out of the wheelhouse of something that's happened before. Because if you actually really look at right here in the previous run, we had the curvature, right? Okay, and then we stopped where? Right here. And then we came down to here. And how far was that dip? About 17 cents. And then we continued on until the local high in May. And now, since we have been flat rejected at this support resistance level, we can draw this downtrend. So now this downtrend actually becomes a really big deal, and the 3 cent support resistance level becomes an even bigger deal. Why? Because now that becomes breakout confirmation. Couple other things. So this previous level, this previous low here, definitely comes back into play. And that's kind of where we kissed that local low right here. So we can say that we've seen this same type of reversal continue pattern with VeChain before. And I would say losing even that low or even this low, I would say set both of these alarms. I'm just going to say them out loud. Alarm above is 0.234. Alarm below is 0.222. If those alarms go off, I'm a little sad. But we can also kind of look at this pennant, and we can also kind of look at this activity and kind of determine that we could have a little bump and run here as well. So really, for me right here, right now, I'm only upset if VeChain goes under 0.234, and I'm happy if it breaks 3 cents. Other than that, I'm waiting. I'm not going to force trades. VeChain isn't really the type of coin you could leverage trade. I mean, I guess you could if you had to use a very small amount of money, but it doesn't have like leverage volume on most exchanges. But in terms of a spot and hold and wait buy, I'm completely fine with this. And actually, when it breaks out of this new downtrend that it has formed, that will be a pretty explosive move. And if it gets above 3 cents, I expect a quick move to 3.5. And that is a quick, 16% move to the upside. So that's how I'm interpreting VeChain. Like I said, these two alarms down here, it's not like we've never seen this before. In this box right here, the same exact thing happened here. Not to mention, we've had a much further drop this year just to see it continue. And don't tell me that VeChain is like, oh, it's such a dead coin, where, in the past 29 days, it pumped 64%. That's really not that bad, 64% pump. But I say that because we know what VeChain's capable of. And when you look at this, we're talking 326% in a 29-day window. Guys, look what happened here. We had this top. And where did we come? All the way back down to here. What was that? That was a 20% drop in 4 days. And I bet you there were people right here saying, oh, it's over. Oh, it's over. Well, those people that sold right there are the ones that quit before the magic happened, because look what happened after that. So that's kind of where I'm standing with this, because we have seen the curvature. We've seen the rounded bottom. And I'm hoping that this is a come up, a retest, and a continuation. That's what I would like to see here. If it becomes more drastic, if it comes down here, we really don't want to see the loss of 187. Let me pull that up so you can see it. And really, September is right there. So, I'm an open book with in terms of a guess through here. I wouldn't be surprised if it came maybe not all the way down to 187, but if it kind of like flirted with this and put in a higher low, that would be really bullish if it kind of aligned with one of those trend lines. Or even here, let me change the color of this trend line so you can see it. I got a little lost here. But you see this yellow trend line right here? If VeChain, let me get rid of some of the graffiti. One moment. Yeah. So if, say we lose this blue uptrend, let me change the uptrend and see yellow. All right. So if we lost the local uptrend and bumped and run to this uptrend, which is kind of created from these two initial runs here, I would be completely fine with that. I'm not okay if VeChain loses that uptrend and puts in a lower high and respects this one, because ultimately it's building a longer form pennant between here and here. Let me get rid of this one, and let me change the color of these so it stands out a little bit better. White 4 and then white 4. Okay, get rid of some of this stuff. Okay, so really this pennant right here, that's all that really matters to me. That's what I'm paying attention to. Anything can happen in between here. Anything can happen in between here. But it's really bad if we go under 0.222. And if we break out of this, I'm not really satisfied until we break 3 cents. So that pennant is all that matters to me with VeChain right now. And I would postulate that it's more likely to break to the upside. All right, AVAX. All right, last setup for the day. And guys, this is just another type of setup where it's like, it's not like we haven't seen this before. You know what I mean? Like, this is the same pump that we got earlier in the year. So, okay, the only difference is that this time we had a slightly higher low, which is actually really good news. But like, we came down in December, and I mean, hell yeah, the December pump was obviously much bigger than the May pump and obviously much bigger than the July pump. But it also kind of gives us a place and a target to kind of set our feet, you know, because this was also clear support resistance back before the real run happened. Look what happened back here. It was putting in higher lows as it came. And now this is putting in higher lows as it loads up. And even if Avalanche comes all the way down and comes all the way up and then curves out, that's okay. As long as we continue to respect the lower highs, we will eventually see that type of curvature. And I would not be surprised. I want to be very clear about this. I would not be surprised at all if, look at this support resistance right here. You can kind of see that this is kind of the difference between range low and like range high and range low in this range. Okay. And what I'm going to say is that if Avalanche goes under 22, let's just say if it goes 22.9, if it goes under 22.9, I would be concerned, because it's okay to operate inside of this kind of 15% box, similar to a lot of other coins. All right, breakout level 27 flat. Okay, also very sharp uptrend here. We want to respect that. And even sharper uptrend here, we broke. So 22, we lose 22. We kind of look at a bump and run to here, and we really want to hold this uptrend. And then from here, we can continue. So that kind of makes a lot of sense in terms of like the curvature, but I'm not really kind of getting too carried away, like trying to catch some of these shorts. Like I'm not really trying to short Avalanche, just because like it's not, I don't know. You could, if this alarm went off, that is 15%. Yeah. All right. I changed my mind. If it goes under 23, I would have a short alarm at 23, just like I said. Or it's actually 22.9. All right. And I would just kind of go along this staircase, you know, 22.1 right here, 20.5. And then that all kind of leads us into this uptrend right here. And then that's kind of where I would kind of run out of steam, because we want the continuation, and that yellow trend line is kind of where I anticipate us stopping. So if you wanted to, okay, 27, we react to local high and continuation. That would be that. 22.9 would be our short. Target 1 is basically 20. Target 2 is 24. Excuse me. Target 1 is 22. Target 2 is 20.4. But I'm going to stop there because we want to see this local uptrend be respected. And that would be like a pretty proper retest, right? Because really, if you look at high to now, we've only lost 9%. High to bottom, we lost 20%. But if we came down to here, that would be a 22% test. And that makes a lot of sense. So if Avalanche goes under 20.5, if you see Avalanche at 19 point something, that's bad news. All right. So there we go. I'm out of here. This has been a hour and a half of a stream. Guys, it's so early, man. Like, don't get too caught up. I don't want to hear any stories about anybody jumping out, jumping in, jumping out, jumping in with your spot bags. Those are the people that you're going to get yourself in trouble. You're going to get yourself in trouble, especially if this is your first bull market. Guys, it's only July. Our timeline is actually like October, November. It's going to be a couple months. If we eat 15 more percent, we eat 20 more percent. That's just another opportunity to buy. Don't let your emotions get the best of you. Don't like talk yourself out of making money. All right. If you want to, of course, separate your spot bag from your short-term bag and day trade your short-term bag to make up for some of the losses in your spot bag, now we're talking. But don't play Russian roulette with your spot bag. All right. And if you want to join the Telegram group, send an email, ajalphagroup@gmail.com. If you've sent an email, we haven't got to you, we will get to you. There's just a lot to go through. I've been signing up people like crazy in the Telegram group. Love to see that. Also, we've been doing all our trading on Bitunix. Click the link down below. Best place to build a crypto portfolio. No VPN, no KYC, no headache. It measures your average price, measures your ROI, does all that calculator homework for you. My favorite place to build a portfolio. And I just want to be, super upfront and really grateful for the Grogger community. You guys are awesome. Make sure you smash the like button. We do got over 130 people here on YouTube at the end of the show. You guys rock. I got a really interesting kind of RWA sleeper pick video coming out for you this week. Also, kind of got a quick Algorand update on the horizon as well, and a portfolio update. And the portfolio, the public portfolio did take a dent. We were knocking on the door $700,000 on Monday, and it's gone down a little bit. But guess what? Are we playing with fire? Are we selling everything and jumping back in? No. Why? Because that little pump we just had wasn't shit. That wasn't even close to what we had in December. And if you really think that was the bull run, that was the top of the bull run, you're smoking drugs. That's not a good thing. Guys, stick to the timeline, stick to the macro. We still haven't had interest slashes yet. We've had the run we had without a single interest slash with Jerome Powell sitting on his ass. Okay. Not to mention the CFTC still getting their ducks in a row. That's why they're pausing kind of the ETF approvals for now. But at the same time, a year and a half after the Bitcoin halving has been when we've seen the top. That has been looking at October, November this year. By the time we get to October, the CFTC is going to have a draft for how they're going to handle things by September. We will probably get an interest slash somewhere in there. Let's hope to God we get that interest slash. And two, we'll get Litecoin ETF approvals. You get an approval, you get an approval, you get an approval. And by then we get indexes. And indexes are important because why? 70% of transactions in the stock market are in indexes. And once crypto has indexes like that, so many people that are freaked out about just buying Bitcoin or just buying Ethereum are going to say, okay, let's get blanket exposure to crypto and jump into indexes, and market cap are going to get juiced because of the indexes. So guys, you guys are awesome. This has been a longer stream, hour and a half, but hey, sometimes we got a lot to talk about, got a lot of news, got a lot of things to cover. John G, I'm sorry you don't like the new time for the live streams, but I live on the West Coast now, and I am not getting up at 7 in the morning to do 10 a.m. on the East Coast. Absolutely not, especially with the baby. And the baby has weird sleep hours, so that's kind of why sometimes I'm on at 3:30 here or 3 or 3:30 here because, I got to be a dad and I got to put my family first. So it is what it is, but thank you for all of you that have been hanging out this long. And I'm going to make another video, and you will see that one tomorrow. And then I'm going to go back to life, maybe go hit some golf balls off the porch into the water or some shit like that. But guys, smash the like button, sign up for that Tesla giveaway. Have a safe rest of your day. We will be doing members only on Friday, and we'll have another normal live stream tomorrow. So 2 more streams this week, and Friday, like I said, is a members only. So if you want to put in one of the things, want to become a member on YouTube, hey, do that, because the members only, I put the most effort into that live stream because it's for the people who care the most. So just a thought. Have a safe rest of your day. Smash the likes on the way out the door. Pretty please. Get rich, get wrecked. Peace.